The Tennessee Titans could be missing some key players on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. Jordan Davis lost 20 pounds while rehabbing that ankle injury, and Tom Brady, he's raving about Jalen Hurts. This is good stuff. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Friday. Hopefully you guys are having a nice, chill, relaxing Friday, getting ready for what's going to be a very fun matchup for Eagles-Titans coming up on Sunday. We're going to jump into the injury report here, as well as get into what Tom Brady had to say about Jalen Hurts, which is a very, 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 I think, important quote, and a quote that needs to be looked at in terms of the fact that Hurts is playing so well and Brady's noticing. When the GOAT notices you, that's some good stuff. Then we'll finish with a look at our NFL national story of the day, as we always do here, not just Philadelphia, talk about the NFL as well. We'll look at some of the key games that matter on Sunday. Let's start, though, with the injury report and give you an update on who's going to play, who is not, based on the Friday Bleeding Green Nation article. Jordan Davis has returned to practice. Talked about that in the show yesterday. But he's probably going to play. Let's just get that out of the way. He's probably going to play. Snap count, don't know how high it's going to be, but Tennessee's missing some key starters here, and that needs to be at least addressed to go ahead and start today's show. So, here is the latest update right now in terms of what Philadelphia is looking at. Your only player who did not practice, of course, was C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's out indefinitely with the kidney laceration. No shocker there. Now, a lot of guys were limited, but as normal with Philadelphia, a lot of guys are on rest. Bradbury, Brown, Cox, Dickerson, Graham, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Robert Quinn. Remember him? Philadelphia traded for him. He's been non-existent. Isaiah Darius Slay and Josh Sweat. Two key things to notice here. You'll see that Zach Pascal's popped up with a groin, and Devontae Smith has popped up with a groin as well, meaning Devontae Smith has had the trifecta of leg injuries, or at least leg designations so far this year. He's had a hamstring, he's had a knee, and now he's had a groin. So maybe it's a combination, maybe it's one or the other, who knows. He's had this every single week, essentially. He's played every single week, so no worries there. But it is at least worth noting the fact that he, essentially is, on the injury report and could be noticeable on Sunday, but I highly doubt it. Now, what's interesting here is that Jordan Davis lost 20 pounds, and he lost 20 pounds over the past 4 weeks, which is that's a lot of weight to go ahead and lose, especially when you don't have an ankle to run on or do cardio on. Now, there are other measures, right? We understand that. I'm not an idiot, but I'm just saying it's a little bit impressive, a little bit interesting that he is lighter. Curious how that's going to affect his play on the field. Here's what Bleeding Green Nation said. Quote, big news is that Jordan Davis participated in his first practice since going on injury reserve with an ankle injury. Today was the Eagles' first real practice this week since they merely held a walkthrough on Wednesday. Davis is not yet listed on the injury report since he's still on IR. Eagles must activate him to the 53-player roster by 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday for him to play against the Titans. We're going to find out officially tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter, @RealThomasMott for that. Early indications seem to point Davis being able to play. Davis told reporters that he feels, quote, great. The rookie also noted he lost 20 pounds while focusing on conditioning during his absence from the game. Assuming Davis does indeed suit up, it'd be pretty interesting to see how the Eagles handle their defensive tackle usage. They currently have a 5-man rotation at that position with Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Linval Joseph, and Ndamukong Suh, and Milton Williams all seeing snaps. Prior to his injury, David was mostly limited to playing in odd fronts. That is, usually until he finally saw playing time in even fronts during the game where he got hurt. That's what, for what it's worth. David was seen taking reps with Joseph on the line at the same time, end quote. So let's just initially break this down. First off, 20 pounds focusing on conditioning tells you he's trying to be able to play more. And by that I mean play more snaps. A lot of people mention, that's just myself here on the Thomas Mott Show, a lot of people mention that the first couple of games this year, Jordan Davis would look gassed. Now, he's a big boy. All right, it's not like he's a athletic sprinter or a long distance runner who can just give you miles and miles and miles of playing time, right? Hands on the hips, huffing and puffing, and clearly kind of getting adjusted to the NFL game. If he's able to, and he really has, focused on his conditioning, it's only going to mean he gets way more snaps, way more playing time, and as we saw, when he's in the football game, that's way better for Philadelphia. So fascinating to see how much weight he's been able to lose. And hopefully it does make a big impact on his ability to play long-term, not only this year, but also for the rest of his career. Now, snap-wise, no idea. I think it's going to be small. I think 20 maximum will be his snap count. Unless the ankle is 100%, slow it down, ease him into it. We talked about this on the show this week. There's no need to rush him back, but most likely he'll be activated tomorrow. He'll be good to go, and that is, again, another weapon to add on the defensive line that is now loaded with Joseph and Suh to hopefully slow down Derrick Henry, which they need to do to win on Sunday. Now, Tennessee is missing some players here, and it is worth noting based on their injury report. Here's your quote. The Titans made 3 additions to their injury report. Leading rusher Derrick Henry, first-round rookie Treylon Burks, and starting right guard Nate Davis all did not practice. Henry's absence wasn't related to injury, and Burks was out due to illness. They're likely fine to play. Davis being added to this list is certainly worth paying attention to. However, there's a new injury. That's a new injury as far as the Titans' previous injury reports indicate. Never ideal to suddenly be missing a starting offensive lineman. Other bad news for the Titans, their top 2 sack leaders missed practice for the second straight day. It seems like they might be without both Denico Autry and Jeffrey Simmons, and that's important because Simmons and Autry, like they said, are their 2 leading sack players, and you see the list of DNPs here for the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, Derrick Henry is going to go. Obviously, Treylon Burks is going to go, but this Jeffrey Simmons and Denico Autry, I mean, Simmons is an absolute beast, one of the more underrated defensive linemen in the National Football League. If both of those guys are out, big impact for Sunday's game for Philadelphia. All right, before you guys go ahead and jump into the Tom Brady quote, if you guys feel good about the Eagles' chances like I do on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans, you can bet on the game and get a really good promo bonus with our friends at DraftKings. Link is down below in the description box right now. Takes you to the TFM landing website where you see bet $5 on the Eagles. You get $200 back if they win. $200 back in free bets is really, really a great offer, and it's with DraftKings as well. I mean, I'm talking about one of the best sports books. All you gotta do is sign up, register, and deposit $5+ and place that $5+ money line bet on the next Eagles game, which is Sunday, and you'll get $200 back if the Eagles win. That's like $200 in addition to your winnings. So maybe you're losing in fantasy football, you're going to lose money in your league this year, you might be able to win it back with DraftKings. Jump in on this offer if you're in a legal betting state and of age. All the info is right there on the TFM website. All right, Tom Brady has a podcast, and that's not necessarily his podcast. He kind of goes on the Let's Go podcast with Tom Brady, Larry Fitzgerald, and Jim Gray. It's on SiriusXM, but he was asked about Jalen Hurts, and this is really good stuff. And again, a lot of people are raving about Jalen Hurts. It's not like Jalen Hurts has been ripped a lot this year, and there's a couple of people who are like, ooh, Hurts is actually playing well. No, we're all admitting Jalen Hurts is playing well because guess what? He is, and he should be the NFL MVP. If it's not, Patrick Mahomes, it will be Jalen Hurts. But Tom Brady taking notice and being asked about this, always fun to see because Tom Brady doesn't talk about a lot of quarterbacks in the National Football League. Here's this quote. All right, so Jim Gray says, quote, Jalen Hurts accomplished something yesterday so rare in the history of the National Football League. 150 yards passing, 157 yards rushing. Just an incredible performance against the Packers. What strikes you when you see something like that? Brady, I've never rushed for more than 100 yards in a season. I don't think, he did it for 115 in a game, and made it look relatively easy, because I saw some of those highlights. He just has a great skill set to be able to, you got to have so much spatial awareness too, because because when you run, those guys are coming at you, and they're coming fast. And I think when you have his athleticism, but also he knows exactly when to get down, he knows exactly when to get out of bounds, he starts to run, he stops, and he throws the ball. His ability to make plays in the run game is very impressive, as we keep going here on this quote. And 157 yards for anybody is incredible. And then to have the ability to pass the football like he does. That's why the team is so successful. He's playing at a very, very, very high level, and they're a tough team to stop. And even if you think you got him stopped for a lot of the game, like the Colts had him a few weeks ago, comes down to a drive at the end of the game, and he's got a little more energy left in the tank, and he makes a game-winning run there at the end of the touchdown. End quote. That's recognition from the greatest quarterback in NFL history on the greatness of Jalen Hurts, and he sums it up very, very well. It's what makes Hurts so dangerous. It's the fact he can run the football. He's so aware when he does run, doesn't take big hits. He can burn you at any time, and then he also throws the ball so well. Hurts was running like this last year. He was really good at it, right? You remember, Jalen Hurts had some really big rushing games last season. Think the Saints game later on in the year. However, whenever he was playing last year, he didn't throw the football as well, and a lot of games came down to Hurts needing to make a couple of throws, and he was unable to. He's now paired that great running ability last year with his ability to have pinpoint accurate throws almost all the time this year. The Quez Watkins back shoulder for a touchdown last week is a big boy throw. That's a big-time NFL throw, and he put it right on the money. That's why the Eagles are so dangerous. That's why you're getting recognition from guys like Tom Brady. Thumbs up if you agree. That's good stuff there. If you like it, like the video, because YouTube loves when you hit the like button, and obviously this is something you should absolutely love with Tom Brady liking Jalen Hurts. All right, NFL national story in just 1 second. First, though, it is worth noting, we mentioned, the possibility of flexing the Eagles-Giants first game to primetime, the one that's happening next week. That no longer happened. They flexed Chargers and Dolphins. Well, it looks like the Week 18 matchup could be flexed to primetime. Here's the details from the Eagles Wire. Philadelphia and the New York Giants are scheduled for a 1 p.m. Eastern time matchup at MetLife Stadium in Week 14. contest could potentially flex into a late or afternoon prime time slot. Now, they eventually went ahead and did the Chargers and Dolphins game. However, the NFL flexible scheduling is in effect from weeks 11 to week 18, and only one Sunday afternoon game can be moved into Sunday night. And while they protected a lot of things, they have not protected Eagles versus Giants week 18 at the link, meaning it could get Sunday night football treatment. Now, what's going to matter here is if it actually matters in terms of a football game, because really the one that has the biggest playoff implications is Eagles-Cowboys in week 16. Then you have the Saints in week 17. This will be a game that will get flexed if it matters for, I would argue, both football teams. If it just matters for the Giants and the Eagles are benching players, you might not flex it to Sunday Night Football. But if it matters for both teams, whether the Eagles are trying to lock up the NFC East because they lost to the Cowboys or whatever, or they're trying to lock up the 1 seed, Giants trying to sneak in, for an NFC playoff spot as the 7th or the 6th seed, then you could see, according to this article, a little bit of a flex into the Sunday night game week 18. They always try to flex in a win or go home situation, so it could be a win and the Eagles win the East, or lose and the Giants are out situation. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Let's wrap up here by looking at our NFL scoreboard. We always talk about other NFL stories. We like to talk about all the National Football League here on the Thomas Mott Show, and we got to at least take a look at what's happening on Sunday. Steelers-Falcons does matter. Now, it doesn't really matter for the Steelers, even though they are on a little bit of a hot streak here. Atlanta needs a win if they want to keep pace with the Tampa Bay Bucks in the NFC South, and you should root for Atlanta to win the South over Tampa. Now, it's not going to happen, but at the same time, you'd rather face Marcus Mariota than Tom Brady in a potential wild card or division round matchup for the Philadelphia Eagles. Packers-Bears is a nothing burger, although you root for the Bears in this situation because Chicago right now is ahead of Philadelphia in the draft order because of where the Saints are at due to the first-round pick swap. So you want the Bears to win, but Green Bay has kind of owned the Bears. Aaron Rodgers has as well, and he's healthy and he will play. Lions are trying to go ahead and keep their winning streak alive against the Jaguars, 5-7. Detroit could be a pesky 7th seed in the NFC if they somehow sneak in. Now, it's a long shot. 4-7 is tough to do. You kind of have to win out if you are Detroit here, but a win against a good Jaguars team, at least the past couple of weeks, they beat Baltimore last week, could be a big-time move for that franchise and that offense, which is scary. The defense is the problem right now in Detroit. You got to root for Mike White in the Jets this weekend. If you're not an Eagles fan, you should, because, one, the Mike White story is very, very fun, and the Jets are fun when they're winning. The Jets are one of those harmless franchises where they're not going to, ruin your team's season, but it's fun to kind of watch them, again, have fun. They've been terrible forever, and if you're an Eagle fan, they don't affect you because they're in the AFC. And the Vikings losing would be monumental for Philadelphia, so Jets, Jets. Okay. Commanders-Giants. We talked about this on the show earlier this week. Doesn't matter who loses this game. There are arguments that you want the Commanders to lose because they've beaten Philadelphia in the past, whereas Philadelphia has yet to play the Giants. It doesn't matter. Flip a coin here. If both could lose, we would pick that. I'm going to say the Commanders beat the Giants. I've said all year long the Giants, to me, their roster's not good enough for where their record currently is at. You've seen that the past couple of weeks, but that's a toss-up. It does not really matter. Broncos-Ravens is a snooze fest, although if Lamar loses to Russell Wilson, you could see some serious repercussions there in terms of the national media ripping him. 8.5-point favorites, shows you how bad Denver's been the past couple of weeks. Deshaun Watson will play on Sunday. They're 7-point favorites against his former team. Funny how that works out, right? 11-game suspension is exactly right for him to play the Texans, his former football team in Houston. Weird stuff. Put your tinfoil hat on. Seahawks-Rams, you're a big Ram fan this weekend. Seattle, of course, coming off a loss this past week. If the Rams are able to pull up a big upset and Seattle goes to 6-6, they're very clearly going to lose that division, most likely be a wild card team. Put on your Dolphins hats. Go Fins this weekend. The Niners losing would be huge for Philadelphia. One of those playoff scenarios where Philadelphia can clinch a playoff spot. You need like 4 things to happen. Well, one of them is the Niners losing, and obviously you want them to lose because you don't want the Niners to sneak up and be a possible 1-seed team if they continue on their hot streak. They've won like 4 in a row. Chiefs-Bengals is a great matchup here to see how Cincinnati matches up against Kansas City, this time in Ohio versus the AFC Championship game on the road against the Chiefs. And you got Chargers-Raiders, which is a nothing burger, but you root for the Raiders because if they beat the Chargers, it helps out the Eagles draft pick. And then Colts-Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, which, I shouldn't have to tell you who to root for here, but Dallas being a 10.5-point favorite tells you a lot about where they think this game is going to go, and honestly, I would probably agree. Finally, Tampa and the Saints. This is a toss-up because if the Bucs lose, it's good for Philadelphia, but also you want the Saints to lose because it's even better for Philadelphia, so you're probably rooting for Tampa and Tom. All right, there you go. There's a full breakdown in terms of what is going on in the NFL and the Philadelphia Eagles on a Friday. We'll be breaking down on the show tomorrow, looking at the Titans more specifically and more importantly at that game, as well as a look at some of the free agents. Me and Philly 500 talked about this earlier this week, and it's a really good show. We're going to have that for you guys. So be sure to subscribe. See you guys in the next one.